So that
I
just
think he's gonna
helps
pump. I
us.
think he's gonna pump ink, to be honest, because he wants people to with
Yeah,
real money to bridge over and provide
probably.
liquidity. So like the only way to really get them to do that is to give them incentive.
It's like, here's my yield. The cool thing is you're incentivized to provide the real utility, which is a very large DEX
Yep.
LP, right? So do we want Pulse to be paired up with $50 million? Yeah, why not? That helps us all. And so that's what's going to happen. We're going to get that LP up most likely. There's two ways to win, though, right? Like we can win by all the losers exiting, or we can win by more people joining. You can win either way, right?
Simultaneously.
It's a circular effect. I think.
We're doing it. Yeah, we're doing it simultaneously right now, right? But technically, with our community right now, we can 10x the price. It's nothing.
Easy.
We could do that.
Easily.
We could do that
Everybody in and out.
within
Yeah.
weeks, months. Who knows, right? So I would position. That's what I've been doing. Like since we had that little tiny dip, I start positioning myself because the next run you might not have a chance.
I don't think
Actually,
you will. I think
if
coming
you
up here
look at
pretty soon, you're not going to have these
Pulsex,
prices at all anymore. I think these prices you're seeing right now are just gone pretty soon.
we're on SAC rate. Now we're not. No, you're down 20%. If you didn't buy SAC when we dipped and we touched SAC, if you didn't buy that SAC, now you're 20% off in your bag, 25%, right? And it can be a lot. That's sort of $1 million, you're 750,000. I just
What
did it.
happened? Smart.
You buy 1 million coins,
right now?
you get 700,000.
How much is Pulse then? 1.11? Is it
Right
still
now it's
above or below?
0.001.
No,
It dropped back
no,
down?
we're past that. No, we're past that.
Yeah, we're way above it. It's like 136 or something, 123 or something, 111. I don't know.
No, we're 0.00125. Right now from SAC, I'm looking at the chart. It's literally, hold on.
That's 1.25.
From SAC rate, we are currently 26% above SAC rate on Pulse. So
Yes. All right, so that's gangster.
Yeah.
yeah,
We
dude, that's
touched
awesome.
SAC. Now we're up 25%. So,
Yeah,
you got your chance. This is like you're down 25% from what you could have put in, but guess what? If you're going up 10x, it doesn't matter too much if you buy at SAC or if you buy at 1.25 on SAC. What matters is you get in before the full 10x, right?
Yeah. Well, that's why like Pulsex and Inc. You see those numbers flying up like 230% or something. But Pulsechain, for that thing to move in 1.25, whatever, 0.1, whatever, 1.25 above SAC rate is a heavy thing to move in a sense to compare Pulsex is zinging up and Inc. is zinging up because those two seem to be tied together. If you look at those two, which is obvious, I guess, in a sense, because Pulsex creates the Inc. But using the biggest DEX to create a steady flow of something into your pocket is the best way to go, in my eyes. Right? So low and slow.
Well, it's not, I mean, you said heavy. I mean, it's not really heavy.
It's not, but in the heavy.
There's only like,
it's not heavy, but it's
like we can double the price with like $20 million.
I know
what I mean?
so
like, that's not really heavy. That's like dust.
I understand.
Pushing the price up. So it's easily done, but I don't know if all these wallets are going to want to pull their LP, but it doesn't matter. Either way, we're going to get there.
On the old fork, a pretty coordinated liquidity pull. If they were able to move it 3 cents in half a second, I think they can probably make some decisions on how nice they want the price chart to look.
That's all it comes down to on Pulse is just making it look good anyways. The best charts attract the most people, so if they see a good looking chart, they're gonna come over.
Yeah, just keep it classy.
Nothing's better than that hockey stick, you know?
How about the burn function? So the burn function on Pulsex. Can I not like have a whole bunch of Pulsex and then hit burn?
You can burn your Pulsex. What do you mean? Like
public? Is there a public? Yeah, I don't know.
The DEX is doing it. There's actually ink that's being burned too, just a little bit.
Golden zone on the fib, and it just bounced. And I think we make a new ATH on this move. I'm pretty sure. Like looking at the chart, all we literally have to do is close 15% above where we are now. We've made on the daily. We've made a new high, a higher high. So if we can move like another 15% and close, we've made a new higher high, and that's awesome, dude. I think we're probably not going to see these prices for much longer. I can't see this sticking around too much longer down here.
Yeah, look at Pulsex where we had half to SAC. I recovered nicely. It was 3.2. We're almost double that.
Well, when the Pulsex sacks, or Pulse, I should say, like the 2.5 guys that got the 2.5s extra for doing whatever whatever they did. Obviously, some of them's dumped, yeah. So then that's minus 2.5, and then it had to climb back from there. Yeah. Now at sac rate plus 2.5. Now we're looking at a bottom.
It's at the floor right there right now. But even on Pulsex, we're still literally Pulsex is still 460% above the low. That's insane. We don't have that much further to go to
Wish
sac.
I didn't sell all my Pulsex. No, I'm just joking.
Oh, dude, I've been buying Pulsex. That's the sleeper right there.
I mean, everybody, man. What I find about Pulsex guy people is that they really like their Pulsex, man. Like, yeah, they
Yeah.
really do, man. Pulsexicans are like Pulsexicans. Maybe they're like, oh, like they're strong, man. They're like they like their ink and their Pulsex, and they're like they got their feet in the trenches there.
Yeah, we could. It's only like a 2.5 right now, and it used to be like a 3. It almost went to 4, right? So it keeps
Yeah.
over time. It's been accomplishing the ratio move. Uh, yeah, maybe we see 2 to 1, and then you're hitting pulses like a 2x on sac, right? And then pulse x is at sac. That would be pretty likely.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about, but if you put, so the way the 1 to 4s work to me is like, okay, you got pulse X and you got pulse and you got hex and e-hex, but with the e-hex kind of like dwindling over there, you got hex, you got pulse, and you got pulse X. So now pulse X is pushing in a way the opposite, like up and out of e-hex on the other far side, not anything related, but it's crushing up on that shoulder and it's going to go. E-hex was going to climb whatever it wants to do, but Pulsex is going to gain, man, and whatever it does, it will reflect up into, I mean, like how they're going to sell their Pulsex on Pulsechain. Hex is the best, though. I mean, running on top of things for free.
Yeah, there's the question. Like, people expect things to happen, and then they looked at the recent run-ups and they say, "Hey, this one's going to run more. This one's going to run," and it's like, yeah, it could, or the other one could catch up. So
Oh,
predicting
dude, I hope
the
it does. I hope that does
future
happen.
from the past. I mean, you can't always predict the future from the past, right? But one thing about Hex is, like, in that video that recently was posted with Richard Hart, he did say, well, so the enemy, the guy he was like on the video with, said, yeah, you can't keep forking networks and getting twice as many coins and
Oh, did he said it
having
charges?
it do the same things. And Richard Hart said, yes, you're going to have diminishing returns, right? And that's
Oh, eventually, yeah.
it's
You will dilute
likely
everything
for
doing.
well, it's because Hex has twice as many coins that everybody was giving them for free, so that doesn't mean Hex doesn't do like a 10x or 100x. Who knows what it's going to do, but it's eventually and I think we actually do really well on Hex in the further out future once we get a lot of these people like out
Oh yeah.
of Hex. Like, so, you think you're going to stay in Hex. You're not going to stay in T-shares. They all die. So we've already lost 20% of the sharks. We've lost 20 odd percent of the dolphins. They're gone. What, and whether you like it or not, by the time, 2025, 6, whatever, there's going to be a point where we go down, in half or whatever, maybe less, which is, it's just more and more bullish for Hex because the yield
That's a nice time.
becomes a non-issue, right? Like, as far as, hey, if X is $1, is the yield too much for a short-term yield for us as a community to sustain it, right? But hey, if you get a lot of these T-shares dead, then no, there's no issues,
Hey, that gas.
and that's what it will happen. It's just a matter of time. But as far as the other ones, you do kind of have to think like, well, Pulse X is at the lowest price Hex ever was, and unit bias is a factor. So because the community did not rally behind one Hex, then since you have two different ones and people are splitting their buys, then you're going to have slightly less or diminishing returns on the Hex returns in general, but that's okay. I mean, it's a longer, it's like the store of value, longer term idea, holding the T share, and it could end up in the end, being better than some of the other ones. You never know. It could be the best one of all, but there's a little bit of headwind because whether we like it or not, a lot of the community supports having two coins instead of one.
But like what
So
you
it's
just said
like,
is the
yeah.
prime example of why you should just be exposed to all of them, and like it's just very obvious.
Yeah, man.
If you bridge over your eHex over to Pulsechain and then pair it with Pulse and tie it into V2 Pulsex pool, which does not include ink, but it is earning the fees. If you look at that yield, I think it's like 60 odd percent right now. I don't know. You'd have to go and look at it, but I'm just giving you an example of you might not want to be on Ethereum. You could literally with your eHex earn more than staking hex just by providing an LP with Pulse. And guess what? Worst case, you have Pulse or you have eHex. What's the end of the world in that scenario?
That's
Almost
the that's
nothing.
the best part of all of it,
Come
though.
on.
It's like there's so many options, and if
Yeah, and take that
so
EHEX,
funny.
and you use that liquidity provided, and then you go buy yourself the EHEX back.
EHEX, as every trade happens, you get more EHEX and then or Pulse. And then the thing is, you're also out of the staking on Ethereum, which helps the EHEXicans, right? So you're doing a good service to the community just by leaving Ethereum and putting it in this LP on Pulsex and giving everybody a better slippage on their trade, right? So that's a cool play right now. I mean, there's not a huge room, so hey, if you guys want to take advantage of that.
Yeah, that makes sense because it's a beneficial thing for whoever thinks of something worth of value. They can make it over here and help the other side where they left, just even by using it over here, produce more of it. And if they really want to go back and they really love their thing, they can take the yield off the top and then go buy more of it. And then even over amount of time, over the what they make out of the yield of providing the LP, they can build up a little bit of this, and then they can make a stake on EX if they really want. But it's a free stake on EX after they provide the LP, but they still have the things that are growing for themselves. It's like a farm, baby.
So I used V3 and V2, and I personally like the fact that V2 forces you to put in both coins, and you have to sit there with, you can't, and I know I like PHUX for certain things, where you could do an 80/20 on a brand new coin that comes out, I guess, but isn't it great that something like Hex or Pulse has so much stables tied to it because you have to put both in, right? You've got to put the same amount of stables, so it makes it really nice and fat. And our slippage is 0.01%. It's beautiful. It's better than a centralized exchange, okay, at that price.
Pretty good.
That's where we're at. Yeah, that's where we're at. We're literally more efficient than a centralized exchange on chain.
That's a trophy. That's a trophy right there.
It just gets better from here, man.
And this is why I like the excitement.
You have the pair with Pulse and Hex payouts are probably close to 20% paid out in ink. And this is Hex on Pulsechain and Pulse pair. Now, we talked about the other pair, which is the V2. The V1 pays out on ink, and it pays you probably close to 20%. And 20% is better than rolling hex stakes. Rolling hex stakes probably are going to give you like,
Oh yeah, you're right.
9% in a year,
Yeah.
or 8% in a year right now. I mean, so it's actually more beneficial if you believe in both Pulse and Pulse and Hex. If you believe in those, then you would put it in. The problem with this pool is you can experience movements, right? The ratio changed from 250 down to 135. Basically, as I get the ink,
That's funny.
put it in with my Pulsex bag. So to me, it's really low risk, in my opinion. But you could lose all your money. Hooray!
But
It's very volatile.
the thing
Right?
is, if you're doing that, like the thing is with the ink and Pulse X pair, is that ink is always going to be like generated. Yeah. So it's going to be feeding that system. So you always have an inflow of something. If you have another pair, you're just providing the two pairs, and then it is what it is. Yeah. But with ink being a like a production coin or whatever you want to call it, it's generated. Then people will That's an inflow of nonstop flowage, least resistance. I like it.
I mean, you could sell the ink if you want to. You could take the ink and then you could turn it into dye and then put dye pulse pair.
Sure.
That could feed your dye. So wherever you're at, I like to use one pool to feed another pool. So then I'm building up two pools basically, and then I kind of balance them out as I go. I really like dye pulse and then and ink Pulsex. I did name the hex one as well because after recently purchasing a decent chunk of hex this past week, I was looking and I was like, you know what? I can't really justify short staking if I'm earning twice as much by not doing it.
Across the board,
Right? Right. Like, well, Pulse, I have a bunch of Pulse, so I can tie it with my with the hex I got. So it's like getting half your side for free. So actually, if you think about it that way, if it says 20%, I'm technically earning. It's almost like earning 40%. That's what I wanted to tell you, because think about it. Let's say you had $10,000 on hex and 10,000 on Pulse gets put in with that pair. So now your pair's 20,000. Well, if you would stake your hex, you're only putting in 10,000 to stake your hex. But now, since you have tons of liquid Pulse anyways, you're putting it to work in that pool, and it's almost like you have twice as much hex. You put 1,000 in a bank. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Well, he's new to like providing liquidity. I mean, I'm not a pro
my
at it either.
my kid
But
my kid's
That's
doing
even
like,
better.
well,
$1,000
here's the
doesn't seem like
thing.
something of a risk.
So this is kind of high risk. If you believe Pulse is going to go up 1,000x, you shouldn't be doing that, right? But this is why you do it with just a portion of your bag. So $1,000 is probably pretty good because
Yeah.
hopefully that's not all your crypto. But like my son does he does it with a small amount of money, so he's earning like 1 ink a week, or I don't know what he's earning. He's at something like that.
That's
But to
not bad.
him, hey, he doesn't have a job. Like, what if ink goes to $100? I don't know.
You
Like, it
retired
could be
already in like
crazy.
a year?
Yeah, but it's like the fee to do things on Pulsechain is almost nothing. So even if you're got $20 in the pool, okay, well, cost you a penny to get there.
Yeah, I think $1,000 is pretty not because he has money, so he's just he's new to the whole ecosystem, so he doesn't trust it. So he's like, I'll just want to try 1,000 and
Yeah,
provide
bro.
liquidity. But I mean, one point, you're getting an ink a day. That's if it ever goes back to $80, that
But
was like almost $3,000 a month.
but
But
if
if
you're
someone's
concerned,
new, yeah, if you're concerned about someone being new and they don't know how to provide liquidity and they're kind of new to the thing, put them in the best place where the biggest, fattest books are, right? So, like, I mean, put them in the
yeah,
places where it's sturdy and they're not
like
going to get,
Pulse
like,
and
they don't
Die,
have to, yeah, bro, like, Pulse and Die is like
Pulse and
Pulse
a
dive
Dive,
because at the end
steady
of the
place
day,
for that.
even if
And
even if
then
he
he
has
does
it's
like
permanent
half.
research.
loss, even if he
Yeah.
has permanent loss, he's not losing money because
Yeah.
he gets this pulse. I mean, it's
Well, what's going to happen is he's going to end up with more die
Yeah.
as we get this 10x. He's going to end up like 70-30 or something. I don't know. He might even end up with twice as much die as he started. So if he did $1,000, if he divides it in half, if it's
so you got a
500,
2x no matter what.
he might end up getting a 2x, and he's going to feel good about it. But it's conservative because he has half his
Whoa.
money in stables, right? So
It's a
I
healthy
just,
starting point.
I'm just
There's
concerned about
literally
the
no
other
risk. I
ones.
mean, the only risk is just missing the 10x. Like that's the only risk. You can't risk losing your money.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, you could do a million x and then you just get more die. I mean, you still make money no matter what. So
Yes, you'll make money all the way up. And this isn't like V3, so you don't get bought out completely. You will always have some pulse. It'll just be like 20% instead of all your coins. You'll have like 20% left or
V1,
something.
right?
Well, this is V2, but yeah, you can't lose all your pulse, right? You're gonna have some pulse, whether
No,
it's
I'm just saying
20,
it's I saw it
30%.
says V1 under it says V1 like
Yeah,
under
for
die.
ink. For
Yeah.
ink, it's a V1 pool. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you mean to earn
So
ink? Yeah.
yeah, the EHEX one is the V2 that we talked about. That one doesn't earn ink. It
Yeah.
just earns so much fees.
V1 seems like a
But
better play to be honest.
For me, it is. I don't know, because ink could be the one that hits the 10x first.
Exactly.
it's
The
possible.
10x, $20. Let's go.
I could send it. Yeah, send ink up there and I'm like, boom.
Well, thanks for the car.
Right.
Thanks for the tires.
Yeah, I'll probably just have him do that. I mean, he wants to just get some skin in the game. I think $1,000 in the die pulse pool is good. No matter what, he's gonna make money,
Yeah, he's
even
got
if it
die.
yeah.
Half his money's not at risk, so it's not going to move as fast up or down. And that's what I got my coworker into. And he appreciated it, but I did show him like, hey, since I had all pulse at that period when it pumped, had twice the gains you had. But I mean, it's a good experience for him because he is earning some ink and he's watching the charts.
See, it's a good learning experience, like you say. So he's watching the charts, he's earning some things, he's earning some ink, and he goes, okay, this earns that. Okay, then people want to like look harder into how does this work, right? So if you just give someone money or whatever, you just put something somewhere and it just grows without them knowing or looking into it further, which is like that's a nice first stepping stone. Die, pulse, pair, earn ink, and the person will go, oh, I got this ink. Oh, what do I do with this now? And they'll go, okay, well, I have to do this and that. And they'll be all happy. So it's cool.
It was permanent gains because you get more of both of the best coins, right? Like you're like, oh, I'm gaining more dollar value in my ETH and in my Pulse. Yeah, I lost some Pulse for ETH because Pulse went up faster, so
The price
you
went up.
don't gain as much as you could have gained, but you're gaining from both assets, right? So it worked out good, but I eventually liquidated them all for Pulse because Pulse was doing a lot better. It just kept going up and up, and I was like, no, this is where the maintenance comes in, right? I started to see like, wow, I'm getting ETH and all, but this is dangerous, right? Pulse is going up 100%, ETH's going up 20%, so I'm losing here. You're not losing, you're gaining, but you're not gaining
Not doing
as
as
much
much as
as you
you,
could
yeah.
for sure. Yeah, yeah. So it's permanent gains, but it's a little bit reduced, and that's what DAI is going to give you too.
Yeah, for sure.
Their only risk is missing the pump. Okay, but let's just say someone puts in, let's say you said earlier it was like 33 grand. Let's just say someone puts in 10 grand. Could you please do the math? How many ink would you make in 30 days if you bought
On which pair?
the DAI Pulse?
Yeah, I'll do it
That
right now.
way, that
You
way
said
we can
10
kind of
grand?
get an idea, because if like I want to know what the delta is, if that's the right word. Like if you were in that pair with 10 grand and you're making, I don't know, like let's just assume,
You're making just so you know, you're making 12 ink a day with 10,000 in that
so
pair.
12 times 30 is like what?
What do you mean times 30
Yeah.
days? So if you have 10 grand and you put it in that pair, you're making about $940 a month.
No, but how many ink?
Oh, 370 ink a month.
370. So
Well,
if let's just say if Pulse pumps 10% in that month, that would be like missing out on $1,000. So if you take 370 ink at $2, yeah, you will miss a little bit. You will miss how many dollars? Well, if you have 370.
Yeah, I mean, you won't lose much though, because I
Yeah,
mean, you could just sell the ink. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
you're
like,
not going to miss it on the ink
There's
side.
no
You're going to
risk.
get the ink. You're
You
not going to
don't
miss it
think
on the ink side. Yeah.
you don't think ink's gonna go up? Come on, excellent.
oh, you totally misunderstand me, man.
No, he's saying it's good because there's no
Yeah,
risk.
I'm saying it's good because yes, you're getting. Didn't he say you're getting 370 ink a month?
Yeah, for 10 grand. Yeah.
Okay, so 370, and if let's just assume that Pulse goes up like 50%. Okay, I'd ask.
Okay, so check this out.
Hold
Excellent.
on, hey, Let him finish his thought. Hold on.
Well, I mean, no, I defer. Go ahead, go ahead. I remember. I wrote it down. What's Lane gonna say?
Well, what I'm thinking is, okay, so you got the ink that's coming out of 10 G's, and you got 30 days in a month, and you got 10 G's worth of ink that's earning that amount of ink, however much it was. Someone say the number?
Well, right now it's like $2.50 or whatever, but it could.
Yeah, like 300 and something ink a
Oh
month
yeah,
or something. Sure.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Okay, but then you talk about, but where the issue, well, not the issue, but the thing is, where are you going to sell the ink into? So Pulse goes up in price. Well, the ink and that pair go up in price. The dye then stays a little lower because it's dye, right? But you got the Pulse and Pulse, you got the Pulsex against the dye. You're earning the ink. The ink, then you're going to have to trade into whatever you want to trade into. But as prices go up across the board on this RH economy,
That's a lot, and then you end up selling that dye, 400 dye a month. And let's say ink is at $3, so that's $1,200. You can just swap the ink for dye and get $1,200
Yep.
and buy Pulse.
Yep.
or you just take that ink, you buy the dye because it's kind of going down because the pulse is going up, and and you even it out and you keep feeding the dye side. Your dye tables then go up and higher, and as pulse price goes up, it goes up and up.
1,000 Pulse, 5,000 in DAI when you start it. If Pulse is going up, you're actually losing Pulse and you're gaining DAI, right? So you're not going to have $5,000 DAI in there. You're going to have like 5,300, 400, 500. So what are you going to do with that extra $500 in that pool? You could just leave it there. You could let it ride, or you could actually pull it, take the $500 out, put the LP back in. Now
Buy
you got
Hex.
500 extra bucks. You
Maybe.
could buy more poles, whatever you want. You could actually you could leave it as it is, but it's more dye on that other side as well as the ink. That's kind of the thing you're not considering.
Okay, so I was just going to try to figure out, if if you're really not losing all that much, considering. I mean, y'all are
You're
saying,
almost losing nothing, dude. Literally,
yeah,
like
yeah,
depending on how you're looking at it.
y'all are saying the only downside risk is if Pulse Chain goes up 10,000x. But you guys know, just because there was a tweet today, a real popular tweet about someone, I think, and it said this in reality, Hex pumped over a number of these numbers of months. I liked that. I bookmarked that. And so, like, as you see it all going down and going up, you can kind of manage your funds. But really, I was thinking with the value of the ink and the is probably going to be maybe less than the value of the pulse, but not by much. I don't think it won't be.
It's
Possibly more. Yeah, the
it's
ink
like a
could,
sticker.
the ink, what if the ink goes up, twice as hard as the pulse, right? So you do even better because of that. So it's really hard to predict. You kind of have to take a risk, right? There's certain risks involved in this. If you want to make money, you think providing LP is free money. It's not. You're gonna have to do a little work, a little management. You could take that $500 of extra die that you earned and you could buy pulse with it. As the pulse is running up, guess what? You're buying at a higher price pulse. However, if you do it in a smaller time frame, maybe every $50 or $100, then you're not paying terribly too much different of a price. Depends on how much you want to manage. If you don't look at it for 3 months, well, now you might end up paying that 10x higher price on Pulse, and maybe you didn't get as much gains. Like the move that we just had, XLove, if you didn't adjust on a decent sized bag, you would have lost at least $10,000 because you were in die Pulse and you could have just been in Pulse, right? So just having that, even with the anchor, it's just not enough when it runs up that quick, right? And it can. Like there's nothing stopping Pulse Chain from doing it 2x, 3x within a week,
That's a
in a
bit
day.
dangerous.
Like
You see it,
it's a
right?
good
So
day, but it's a
it's
good
a good
day,
day,
but
but not for
but,
someone with
but
stables attached.
you think you're looking at the bridge and you're like, okay, only 120,000 came through 150. No, the liquidity is on Pulse Chain right now to pump the price 3x, 4x. All they got to do is pull out a little bit of that LP from the DAI Pulse pair, and they can take the DAI and they can pump the price. And that's it. That's all the money we need is sitting right in the LP. And guess who has a lot of those millions, right? So you're sitting on a powder keg right now.